Hey guys! So this video is a long time overdue, but I'm finally redoing my how I install double-ended dreads. Before we dive in, I just want to acknowledge that you guys might hear some kind of spooky sounds in the background. That's actually just wind going through my house and windows and stuff, and so if you hear some kind of like ooze in the background, that's why. So the very first and most important thing that you need to install your dread extensions are your dread extensions, and so these I got from Tyto Dreads. I will link all of her information in the description. These are a custom set, and as the title suggests, they are double-ended dreads. The second most important thing that you need when installing are rubber bands. A different type of band that I've never tried but I've heard is also really good are orthodontics elastics, so that's kind of the little things that go in braces. And you never really know how many you're going to need when you start. A good guess is exactly how many dreads that you have, but sometimes you might use 2 rubber bands on 1 dread extension, as I will cover. The next thing that you will need are combs, or a brush also, if you do brush your hair. One thing that is super helpful that I've found is specifically a metal-tipped sectioning comb. If you just have kind of like this end of a comb, that will work, but this works a lot better and is a lot easier. Next, what you'll need are hair ties for sectioning, and then a variety of different clips for holding your hair back and keeping everything neat. One type of clip that I found to be extra useful is this type of alligator clip that kind of adjusts its size to what it is holding. This was sent to me by Sammy Synthetics with my Pure Gore custom dread set, and I've used it pretty much every time I install dreads since. Next, if you are using one or would like to try one out, a product to help you braid. The one that I use is Giovanni's Wicked Texture. So some of you have probably seen this in my hair transformation videos over the past kind of year and a half. I'm like 99% sure that it is vegan, it is definitely cruelty free, and I also use it for keeping my ear tails straight. And then also what I have is a mirror. So some of those things are a little bit optional, that's just what I have with me, around me, every time that I install dreads. Alright, so now we are finally ready to get into the official step-by-step how to install double-ended dread extensions tutorial. So the very first thing that I do after straightening my hair and gathering up all my materials is I section. Then I will comb through my row and I will get my sectioning comb and I will create my first section. So then once I have my first section, I like to clip the rest of the row back. I do this just so that I don't pick up any hairs that aren't a part of this section when I am braiding. Next step is I split this in half to get 2 equal sections. Then I take my dread and I think about which end I want my hair to braid down. So if I want to braid down this end of the dread, I will place this end first, like here, so that it will lay against my scalp. And I put the loop right up at the top of this section, and I flip this end there and I clip it to keep it in place. A lot of the times your dreads will try to flip and turn over. Try not to let them do that. But the next step that I do is I take my 2 sections and I cross them over right below the bend or the loop, and I hold them down. And what a lot of people will do is they will just start braiding, but I have found that that method is not as secure, and so this is why we placed our dread this way. You take your end and you flip it over so it's laying like normal, and then you take your 2 sections, and I like to put my finger on the bend to press it forward, and I twist the 2 sections behind the bend as much as you can behind it, and then you wrap it under. I lift up the dread with both of my fingers, or one of them, and then I bring this one under, hold the dread in place, and then I bring this other section under that one. So that is my preferred method for starting off the install. I learned this from Tez from Tasmania TV. She is the one that taught me how to install dreads, and that twist behind and around will keep your dread closer to your scalp for longer. A lot of people, unfortunately, they will install their dreads and then just after a few days the dreads will slip down and they'll have a bunch of loose hair at their scalp, and it's really frustrating, but this is a way to help not have that. And so at this point of installing is where you can choose from a few different methods for braiding. There are two main ways that you can braid dread extensions into your own hair. The first is the regular braid, the second is the blanket stitch braid or method. I generally prefer the regular braid. I like how that looks a lot better, but a lot of people use the blanket stitch method because it is a more secure install, and if you have really long hair, it's a way to not worry about running out of dread, and it's also a way to keep the majority of your regular hair up at the base of the dread and not coming down. So for example, if your hair that you're installing on does not match the color of the dreads, it's kind of an easy way to hide that. What I've usually found myself doing is using a mix of both. But the first one that I'm going to show you is the regular braid. And so once you're here, if you don't know how to braid, please look up how to braid, because I'm not a good teacher when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm just going to be like, do this and bring this under this one. But what you're essentially going to be doing is doing a regular type braid with the dread extension as the third strand. So now what I do is I bring this middle section over the dread, bring the dread under that other one, bring the middle one over, and then middle over. I think, okay, this is really hard for me to explain. Essentially, I'm just bringing over, under, etc. And I'm just doing this all the way down the dread. Really fun and interesting. Alright, so once you have braided all of your hair down the length of the dread, then I pinch the two ends together. I grab my rubber band, and what I like to do is I twist the two ends and then lay them flat with my thumb against the dread. Hopefully you guys are understanding this because you probably can't see it. And then I bring the rubber band down as far as I feel comfortable and then just start wrapping it. And so for this dread I only need one rubber band because my two strands ended in the same place. If one of your strands runs out and you still have a length of hair on one section of your braid, then sometimes what I do is I will tie it off where one section ended and then take the longer section of hair that is still left, split it, and keep braiding and then tie it off again when that one ends. So that is how you install dreads with the regular braid method. Next we will do the blanket stitch method. And just as a forewarning, I am not that good at it. When you do it, you try to be as neat and precise as possible. I have never really cared enough to be super neat and precise, but let's get started. So I have my section, I comb it through, and then I will cut it in half. And then since I want to braid down this end, I lay the opposite end against my scalp with the loop right at the edge of the section, flip this back, clip it in place, grab my two sections, cross them at the base of the dread, right below the bend, hold the sections tight, flip the other end back over, grab the sections again, keeping them tight, bend the dread forward, twist your sections behind, pick the end up or lift it up and bring one section around and then twist the other section under it. Now we are ready to make our blanket stitch braid, and so what we will do is essentially we will only wrap the middle strand around the dread. What you want to do is you want to lay each wrap around right next to the previous one. And so wrap around, cross over, so now you have the middle section again, which is the previously left side section. Wrap around, getting right up close to that previous wrap around, and then bring the left side section under, middle, wrap around, right up next to the previous one, left side comes to the middle, and you just keep doing that all the way down. And so as you can see, this is creating a very different look. And you have this cool little dealio here. So let's continue with our blanket stitch braid. So as you can see, this braid is way shorter down the dread compared to the regular braid. It is less than half the length. And this could have even been shorter because I was not as neat as I should have been, but ultimately it's personal preference what you want to do, although the blanket stitch method is supposed to be more secure. Sometimes what I will do is do a mix of both. Sometimes one of my strands gets longer than the other as I'm braiding, and so I'll kind of start to wrap that one around in the blanket stitch method to kind of get it to be the same length again. Or sometimes if I don't want my braid to go all the way down, I'll kind of do like a half and half as I go down just to get the braid shorter, but to still have the kind of crisscross look, if that makes sense. That is it. That is how you install double-ended dread extensions using the braiding method. I should have mentioned this at the start, but I didn't. But hopefully the title kind of implied that there are other methods as opposed to the braiding method for installing dread extensions. So if what I described here today in this video doesn't seem like it will work for you, please do look up the other methods. They're out there, there are videos out there, blogs, tutorials out there. There's so much information. Hopefully everything was clear. I know that sometimes I struggle to actually explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it. And if there's anything that I mentioned that you'd want more detail on, comment down below and let me know and I can make a more dedicated video about it. And I'd also like to give a huge thank you to Tyto Dreads for making the dreads that I am installing in this video. Don't forget to check out all her stuff. She makes really good quality smooth and crochet double-ended and single-ended dreads. And I'm so excited to finish this install and to have it all in. And if you are also excited about this and want to see what it looks like, go check out the hair transformation video that I have for this. Another thing that I wanted to mention has to do with how tight or loose you do install your dreads. If you have it too tight, that can cause irritation on the scalp that can show up as tension bumps. So what those are little, often red bumps on your scalp around your section, and that is from your hair being pulled too tight. I learned about this from Sammy Synthetics, and she says that people often mistake them as an allergy reaction, but what it can be is just that they were installed too tight and it's showing up as tension bumps on your scalp. So basically, don't do anything that hurts, that's uncomfortable, or that is really pulling on your scalp. Since dread extensions are not a one-time use thing, you can take them out and redo them, you can adjust them. You definitely don't have to worry about getting it right the first time because you can just take them out and redo them. And then lastly, if you have any recommendations yourself, or if you have any tips or tricks or things that I did that I shouldn't be doing or that I should be doing differently, please comment them down below so that everybody else can see them too. I want this to be an information sharing place where we can all learn and grow together and learn from each other, and so I know that there are a lot of you out there that have some really good tips for us, so don't be afraid to comment because I want to hear them. I'm so sorry that this update took me so long to do, but I'm finally doing it, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that it's useful. Don't forget that you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. I'll have links in the description, and feel free to subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!